Okay, friend, let's sit down and really talk this through in plain English so you can get a solid grip on these ideas. Forget fancy charts and complicated spreadsheets for a moment. We're going to talk about getting out of debt and how to pick the best way for you to do it using just words. You know that feeling when you've got money you owe? Maybe it's for credit cards or money you borrowed for school or payments on your car. It can feel like a heavy weight on your shoulders, pressing down on you, making things tough. You've made a big, brave decision. You want to be free of that debt. That's fantastic. But now you're looking at two main ways people do this. One is called the debt snowball, and the other is the debt avalanche. Which one is going to get you to that financial freedom where you don't owe anyone faster? More importantly, which one is going to feel right for you, for the way your mind works, for your habits, for how you handle things emotionally? Today, we're going to dig really deep. We're not just going to look at the numbers side of it, although we'll talk about that. We're also going to explore how our brains work, why we sometimes stick with things and sometimes give up, and what feelings get triggered by each of these methods. By the time we're done with this whole conversation, you'll have a very clear idea of which way to pay off your debts is the best fit for you, and you'll know how to get started, even today. Introduction to the debt payoff battle. Let's meet the two big ideas. Before we really break them down piece by piece, let's just get a clear picture of what these two methods are all about. First, there's the debt snowball. Imagine a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, but as it rolls, it picks up more snow and gets bigger and bigger. That's kind of how this method works. With the debt snowball, you pay off your debts, starting with the one that has the smallest amount of money owed first. You focus on that smallest debt no matter how high or low the interest rate is on it. The interest rate is the extra money the lender charges you for borrowing their money. Then there's the debt avalanche. Think of an avalanche, a huge rush of snow coming down a mountain, powerful and direct. With this method, you pay off the debt that has the highest interest rate first. You attack the debt that's costing you the most in extra charges, regardless of whether the total amount you owe on that debt is big or small. They sound pretty simple when you put it like that, don't they? Smallest pile of money first, or most expensive interest charge first. But the way they work out in real life and how they make you feel can be very different and very powerful. How the debt snowball works, a step-by-step guide in plain words. Let's take a closer look at this debt snowball idea, step by step, so you can see exactly how you do it. First, you make a list of all the money you owe, from the smallest amount to the biggest amount. So you'd sit down and write down every single debt you have. Maybe you owe $200 on a store card, then $500 for a medical bill, then $3,000 on a personal loan, and then $10,000 for your car. You'd put that $200 store card at the very top of your list because it's the smallest pile of money you owe. The $10,000 car loan would be at the bottom. The interest rate doesn't matter for this list, only the size of the debt. Second, you keep making the normal smallest possible payments on all your debts except for that very smallest one at the top of your list. You need to keep paying at least the minimum amount due on everything else, so you don't get into trouble with late fees or hurt your credit reputation. So, for the medical bill, the personal loan, and the car loan in our little example, you just pay what you absolutely have to each month. Third, you take every single extra bit of money you can find from your monthly spending plan and throw it at that smallest debt. This is where you get really focused. You look at where your money usually goes. Can you spend a bit less on going out to eat? Can you cancel a subscription you don't really use? Maybe you can work a few extra hours or sell something you don't need anymore. Any extra cash you can free up, even if it's just $20 or $50, you add it to the minimum payment you were already making on that smallest debt. You attack it with everything you've got. Fourth, once that smallest debt is completely paid off, gone, finished, you take all the money you were sending to it, its minimum payment, plus all that extra cash you were throwing at it, and you roll it over to the next smallest debt on your list. This is the magic of the snowball. Let's say you were paying $100 a month on that first smallest debt, and now it's gone. You don't just start spending that $100 on other things. No, you take that whole $100 and you add it to the minimum payment of the second debt on your list. So if the minimum payment on the second debt was $50, now you're attacking it with $150 each month. Your debt fighting payment has gotten bigger. Fifth, you just keep repeating this whole process. Each time you pay off a debt, your snowball of money gets bigger, and you roll it onto the next debt on your list until every single one of them is paid off. You knock them out one by one from smallest to largest. Why do people really like this snowball way? It's because it helps you build up speed and excitement. You get these quick wins, these quick successes, and that keeps you motivated and feeling good about what you're doing. It's like having a to-do list and crossing things off. Every time you pay off a debt, even a small one, it feels like a victory for your mind and your spirit. It makes you feel powerful and in control. How the debt avalanche works, a step-by-step guide in plain words. Now let's switch gears and look closely at the debt avalanche method, step by step. This one is more about the cold hard numbers. First, you make a list of all the money you owe, but this time you order them from the one with the highest interest rate down to the one with the lowest interest rate. The interest rate, remember, is that percentage the lender charges you. So, if you have a credit card that charges you, say, 22% interest, that means for every $100 you owe, they add $22 in charges over a year. That's a lot. That one would go at the top of your list, even if the actual amount of money you owe on it is less than some other debts. Another debt, like a student loan, might only charge you 6% interest, so it would be lower down the list, even if the total amount you owe on it is much bigger. The size of the debt doesn't decide the order here, only the cost of the interest. Second, just like with the Snowball, you keep making the normal, smallest possible payments on all your other debts. You still need to keep all your accounts in good shape while you focus your main attack. Third, you put all your extra money, every spare dollar you can find, toward paying off that one debt at the top of your list, the one with the very highest interest rate. You're targeting the debt that's costing you the most money in extra charges. By getting rid of that one first, you stop paying so much in interest. Fourth, once that debt with the highest interest rate is completely paid off, you take all the money you were sending to it, its minimum payment plus all that extra cash, and you apply it to the debt with the next highest interest rate on your list. So, if you were putting $300 a month towards that super expensive credit card and now it's gone, you take that whole $300 and add it to the minimum payment of the debt that has the second highest interest rate. Your main payment amount grows, just like with the Snowball, but it's always aimed at the most financially damaging debt. Fifth, you keep on going like this, knocking out debts one by one, always moving from the highest interest rate to the next highest until you've paid off everything you owe. Why do people choose this avalanche way? It's usually because when you do all the math, this method almost always saves you the most money in interest charges over the whole time you're paying things back. And often it means you'll be completely debt-free a little bit sooner than with the Snowball. It's the most efficient way from a pure numbers point of view. Let's compare with an example, seeing how they work in a real-life but made-up situation. Sometimes it helps to see these ideas in action with a made-up example. Let's say you have these three debts. First, you owe $500 on a credit card and they charge you 17% interest on that. 17% means for every $100 you owe, they add $17 in charges each year. Second, you have a personal loan for $2,000 and the interest on that is 10%. Third, you have a car loan for $5,000 and the interest on that is 5%. Now let's see how each method would tell you to attack these. If you use the debt Snowball, smallest pile of money first, your order would be the $500 credit card because $500 is the smallest amount. Then the $2,000 personal loan, and last, the $5,000 car loan. You'd throw all your extra money at that $500 credit card until it's gone. Then you'd take all that money and add it to what you're paying on the $2,000 loan, and so on. If you use the debt avalanche, highest interest charge first, your order would be the $500 credit card because its 17% interest is the highest. Then, the $2,000 personal loan, its 10% interest is the next highest. And last, the $5,000 car loan, its 5% interest is the lowest. Now, in this particular example, look at that. Both methods tell you to start with the exact same debt, the $500 credit card. That's because it happens to be both the smallest amount and the one with the highest interest rate. So, for this specific situation, it wouldn't matter which method you picked, you'd start the same way. But let's change the story a little, just to see the difference clearly. Imagine your smallest debt was actually something that had a very low interest rate or even no interest. Let's say you had these debts instead, a medical bill for $300 and it has 0% interest if you pay it on time. A credit card where you owe $2,000 and it has a really high interest rate of 22%. That's very expensive. A student loan where you owe $5,000 and it has a 6% interest rate. Now let's see. With the debt Snowball, smallest pile first, you'd attack the $300 medical bill first because it's the smallest. You'd pay that off really fast, maybe in just a couple of months. That would feel great, a quick win. But while you're doing that, that $2,000 credit card is still sitting there, piling up interest at that very high 22% rate. You'd only be making the minimum payment on it, so it wouldn't be shrinking much, and it would be costing you a lot in interest charges. With the debt avalanche, highest interest first, you'd go straight for that $2,000 credit card with the 22% interest. You'd make your minimum payments on the medical bill and the student loan, but all your extra cash would go to crushing that expensive credit card debt. It would take you longer to get your first debt paid off compared to the Snowball. Paying off $2,000 takes longer than $300. But during that time, you'd be saving a lot of money because you're stopping that high 22% interest from piling up more and more charges. That medical bill with 0% interest isn't costing you anything extra, so from a purely money-saving point of view, it's the last one you'd worry about paying off quickly. This new example really shows the big difference. The Snowball gives you that quick good feeling, that early win. The Avalanche makes you wait a bit longer for the first win if your most expensive debt is big, but it saves you more money in the long run. The emotional factor, why how you feel, matters more than just math. Now, if you only looked at the numbers, you might think the debt avalanche is always the best choice because it saves you money on interest. But here's something really important. Paying off debt isn't just about math, it's about people. And people have feelings. A lot of smart people who study money and how people behave have found something surprising. Most of the time, people are more likely to actually stick with the debt snowball method and pay off all their debts, even if it costs them a tiny bit more in interest. Why would that be? It's because we're human. It's because we're not robots who just follow the numbers perfectly. When you use the debt snowball, you get those small wins quickly. Paying off that first little debt, even if it's only a couple of $100s in just a month or two, feels amazing. It gives your brain a little jolt of happiness and makes you feel successful. When you feel successful, you want to keep going. You build up what they call momentum. It's like you're on a roll, and it's easier to keep rolling than to stop and start over. That good feeling helps you build discipline and stick with the plan, even when it gets tough or takes a long time. Think about it like going to the gym. If you try to do too much too soon and don't see any results for months, it's easy to get discouraged and quit. But if you start small, and you see yourself getting a little stronger or losing a little weight quickly, it motivates you to keep showing up. The debt snowball works the same way for your finances. So, if you're feeling really overwhelmed by your debts, or if you're worried you might give up if you don't see results fast, the debt snowball can be a really powerful friend to help pull you through. The little victories keep your spirits up. Who should think about using the debt snowball? So, when might the debt snowball be the right choice for you? Think about these things. Are you feeling really emotionally crushed and stressed out by all the money you owe? If just thinking about your debts makes you feel hopeless, the snowball can give you some quick relief and a sense of control. Do you need to see quick wins to stay motivated and keep going? If you're the kind of person who thrives on seeing progress quickly, this could be for you. Do you sometimes find it hard to trust yourself to stick with a really long-term plan if you don't get some positive feedback along the way? The snowball provides that regular positive feedback. Do you get a lot of satisfaction from seeing things checked off a list, seeing visual proof that you're making headway, and getting that psychological reward? If so, the snowball plays right into that. Who should think about using the debt avalanche? And when might the debt avalanche be a better fit? Consider these points. Are you the kind of person who is very analytical, disciplined, and really driven by math and numbers? If you like to know you're taking the most efficient route, this will appeal to you. Is your main goal to save the absolute most money possible in interest charges, even if it means waiting a bit longer for the first debt paid off celebration? Can you stay focused on a goal even if the first big step takes a while to complete? Maybe even a year or more if your highest interest debt is also a large one? This method requires patience if your first target is big. Are you dealing with some debts that have incredibly high interest rates? We're talking about things like payday loans or some credit cards that charge you over 20% or even 25% or more in interest. When interest rates are that painfully high, the avalanche method can save you a significant amount of money by tackling those first. Can you mix and match these ideas? A hybrid strategy. What if you like parts of both methods? Good news, you absolutely can combine them. Some money experts even recommend a kind of hybrid or mixed approach. Here are a couple of ways you could do that. One idea is to start with a small victory, then switch. You could pick one or two of your very smallest debts and pay them off quickly using the snowball idea. This gives you that quick motivational boost and helps you build confidence. Then, once those are gone and you're feeling good, you switch your focus to the debt avalanche method and start attacking your debts in order of highest interest rate to save money in the long run. You get the best of both worlds: early motivation and long-term savings. Another idea is sometimes called the debt fireball. This is where you might use the debt snowball method for your smaller, everyday consumer debts. Things like store credit cards or small personal loans. These are often the ones that cause a lot of mental clutter. Then, for your really big debts that might have lower interest rates but will take a long time to pay off, like a mortgage or large student loans, you might use the debt avalanche approach to be more financially efficient with those. The point is, these aren't strict, unbreakable rules. You can adapt them to fit your own situation and your own personality. Tools to help you on your journey. No matter which method you choose, there are things that can help you stay on track. You can use budgeting apps or computer programs. Some names you might hear people talk about are YNAB, which is spelled Y-N-A-B, Mint, or every dollar. These kinds of tools can help you see where your money is going, plan your debt payments, and watch your progress. They can create charts that show your debts shrinking, which can be very motivating. You can also find examples of debt payoff plans on paper or as simple spreadsheet templates. These are basically pre-made lists or calculators that can help you figure out your snowball or avalanche order and see how long it might take. If you're not comfortable with spreadsheets yourself, maybe a friend or family member who is good with numbers could help you set one up. Just having your plan written down where you can see it can make a big difference.